इस बार दिल की बात सुन के देखते हैं।
I'm your king, you better kiss the ring. Putting money in the bank while I do my thing. I'm your king, you better kiss the ring. Putting money in the bank while I do my thing. I'm your king.
क्लाइंट है मेरा, ऐसे है बहुत हॉट। आप ना अपने हार्मोन्स का टेस्ट करवा लो, बड़ी थर्स्टी हो रही हो आजकल।
Sonam, I am absolutely thrilled to be in conversation with you. This time it's a solo interview. Last time we had you, it was with Anvita for Bulbul. So, warm welcome back to you and congratulations on Masaba Masaba season 2.
Thank you so much. As you can see, I'm happy and glowing.
Yeah,
and
as you should. As you should. I mean, look, Sonam, I'm gonna begin with, I guess, the beginning itself, or how season 1 ended off. I think this season 2 is obviously a lot more heavy in terms of the layers it shows. There's mental health that it revolves around. I guess lives of a middle-aged actor. The fact that a woman of today is trying to get that perfect balance between doing what she feels and not really adhering to the charms and wits of men. Um, how was it like for you as a filmmaker exploring all these aspects within one series and over 6, 7 episodes?
That, I think, was the tricky part. It's so I am heading the writers' room as well. So me and three other girls, Nandini, Anisha, and Punya, we all kind of sat and discussed like what are the things we want to represent through this season. Like I'm very clear that yeah, this is a show about Masaba and Neena ji, but it's actually they are just kind of representing women, urban women, working women, and what are the themes, what are the messages we can give through them. It's like they are the perfect muses to tell all our stories, basically. Like me and the writers, like all of us, like see ourselves in someone like Masaba or even Neena ji, or see our mothers there. So we sat down and we were like, okay, what should this one say? Um, and and there were just so many ideas that we decided, okay, we can't like let this go or let this go. We have to somehow make all of them fit in this. I mean, last time we had 6 episodes. This time we had to extend it, make it 7, because it really was a lot going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just were really attached to everything. Whether it's Masaba's work life, where she's feeling like, is she relevant anymore or not? And then deciding to become like the king and become the biggest ever, and then realizing, is that what life is about? Like showing, the public, like your public persona and ambition, or is it about your personal happiness? Like that was a big theme. Then there was a big theme of Neena ji kind of facing, sexism at work, ageism, but also her romantic track, where it's like, no matter how old you get, women are a little dumb when it comes to guys. And they just think from their heart, basically.
Yeah.
And, it's like she keeps like telling Masaba to grow up and stuff, but actually she herself is also acting like a girl sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's like that, like mother-daughter mirroring. Obviously the mother-daughter whole journey of like Masaba on the brink of maybe motherhood, and how Neena ji almost judges her, and then has to kind of learn to see that her daughter is actually really capable and would make a great mother. Gia struggling with mental health, someone who was so bubbly in the first season. You never think that those people have issues, but like
Yeah, true.
those are the people who always have like, like things going on and they never show it. Or Kusha, who plays Nicole, being pregnant, heavily pregnant, and just killing it at work, because that's how women are. Just because you're having a baby, they're not going to stop working. So there's so many things, and we all felt very like attached to like each character should say something. It should not just be like they are there for Masaba and Neena ji as foils. They need to have their own like message, issue, relatability factor. So it was really difficult to get everything in just 7 episodes.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like just having a look back at all your work that you've done in the recent past also. I think even if it's a film like Kujli, whether it's Gippy, your first, I think your first directorial film,
Yeah.
that was really centered around self-discovery, you know. It's about a, I would say, someone who is very unconventional, who is extremely normal, but is trying to sort of fit into this conventions of society. So do you feel like you've kind of been, I guess, through Masaba's character, whether it's Gippy, do you feel like you've in a way presented yourself through these characters, a bit of yourself through these characters as well?
Oh, not a bit. Completely. Like, if you know me and everybody who knows me, when they watch anything I make, they're like, it's basically like hanging out with you. Like, they can see me in every line, every situation, my sense of humor. Like, I completely give my entire gamut of emotions and soul to everything. And I feel like more than self discovery, it's self love that I want to just that's my like goal to promote self love through whatever I do. I feel like whether it's men or women, but now just it just happens to be that I'm telling a lot of women's stories. But um, I don't know, like from Gippy onwards, maybe you just like latch on to like one really important thing that's like really close to you, and people are like they have their other issues and stuff. Mine is always like just love yourself, have confidence in yourself, go out there and do like what you want to do. I just so that just is in every character and everything. It just comes. I'm not like sitting here thinking let's like make Neena ji love herself, but it
Yeah.
just happens. It's just like
Mhm.
it's too
And
close.
I think what's also very interesting, and I don't know, maybe this is just an observation on my part, but like an American show that we had called Ugly Betty, which was
Yeah,
obviously inspired from a Spanish show. I
yeah,
feel like your, especially Masaba Masaba, really has those elements of like it being from Spain, like or cinema or a series from Spain. Would you say that's always been a reference point for you as well? I mean, it's just something which I picked up because of how natural the comedy was and how seamless the genres and the styles really
yeah.
sort of went in with each other.
I haven't like I used to watch Ugly Betty on TV when it used to come. There wasn't like it wasn't something that I was thinking of consciously. Obviously, that genre of like a normal girl in an environment where everybody's constantly judged by their looks and their appearances, and she feels like judged by her outer appearance. But that is obviously one of the themes that I really like. But for this season, I'll tell you, there's a show on HBO called Insecure,
Hmm.
which is written by Issa Rae. She's this really cool black comedian who just writes about like she has the same. I think that's the same themes that I do. That like just because they're black women living in LA doesn't mean that they are like there's like issues and they're downtrodden and there's like they're
Mm.
already powerful. They show themselves as sexy, confident, working women. And I feel like that that works for me to show like hot, powerful, confident women instead of that underdog thing that Ugly Betty had. I feel like that thing is not there in Masaba so much. Like Masaba, especially
True.
this season, like she's like the king, and
Hmm.
I'm showing her looking really hot and like really, like powerful and like the center of attention. I feel like I felt like now giving that feeling to people through her. But when you also come back behind the facade, she's a mess and she's, fucking up and she's like eating cake in her pajamas. But like, I wanted to get away from that underdog vibe because I kept making these underdog stories, I felt. So this
Mm.
time it was more like the
Yeah.
power player. Yeah.
It was more of a self-discovery, like in that sense, after
Yeah.
reaching a certain stage of success, how
Yeah.
does one really deal with the insecurities and the sort of emotions that's deep within? I think that's what you wanted to explore, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's what you have done actually through this show. But I think what Masaba Masaba has really done in terms of the Indian entertainment landscape is that I feel like it's really fused fiction and non-fiction in a very seamless way. I think initially, I think, I mean, maybe from on my part, initially I thought it was going to be a documentary series. When I first heard about Masaba Masaba, I never quite realized it was actually a drama and it was actually a fictional series based on real characters and their experiences. So I think when you are coming to grips with that when it comes to the writing section. Uh, how challenging is it to really make sure the fiction seems very real in that sense? Because obviously it must all get a bit confusing sometimes, because when the two intertwine, it can get a bit of a muddle. So how do you sort of differentiate that and have that balance, do you think?
I think I don't approach it as like, okay, these are the true elements that we have to incorporate. I go the opposite way where I figure what is the main theme, what is the main story, what is the takeaway message, and then I filter all the stories that we could choose from to see what fits in this scenario. So I wanted in this season to have Masaba be really big and be like really consumed with work and not focusing on her personal life. And then something to kind of make her realize that people in your life are really important. And it stop just obsessing over work. Give your time also to the people in your life. So then the perfect thing I felt from the past couple of years that had happened in her life is her losing her mentor, because when you lose someone and you are so busy that you couldn't even go meet them, and you suddenly lose them, and you suddenly realize, oh, life is really fragile, and you can lose your mother, your best friend, the love of your life at any point while you were busy making some Instagram reel,
Mhm.
basically.
Mhm.
So that jhatka obviously brings about a change, whether the second half of the show has more soul and kind of a deeper, emotion running, is because we were like, let's use that event. Now, it's not that I first said, okay, what are the events? And then, it's like there were other events that happened, but we didn't need them to tell this story. So similarly, I wanted like Neena ji, I wanted an ex-boyfriend to come back in Ninaji's life. This I was 100% sure of. And
Yeah.
he has to work with an ex-boyfriend because I wanted a romantic, flirty vibe with Ninaji. I was just dying to see that.
Yeah.
So I had written something like she comes back, she's making a movie and she has to do it. But Neena ji told me about Saas and how she was trying to revive Saas, and she made a pilot, and then it was really good, but the channel like wanted something really tacky and she got rejected and she was really sad about it. So she had, amongst other stories, told me this story. So I
Hmm.
was like, great, I'll take that. And then Saas mein, she never, like, I don't know, had a scene with Kamaljeet,
Mhm.
but in my head, I was like, let's put this X angle with this SAS angle, call it something else, and let's,
Hmm.
you know. So it's like first I think of the story, then I kind of, it's very selfishly, take things from their lives. And then me and my writers put everything from our lives also. So it's all real only, like, or things that we're making fun of, we see on Instagram every day. So
Yeah.
it's not that, it's not like an original idea. It's like people are remixing dumb videos every day. So you put that in, or you put in like, like these Insta influencers taking over people's work or whatever. That's real. So
Hmm.
actually everything is real only.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, just how powerful the whole fiction and non-fiction fusion is. I started Googling Fursat. I was like, Neena Gupta Fursat. I actually thought she was actually in the show with that. And I was like proper Googling and I couldn't really find anything. I was like, okay, cool. This is a new sort of angle that they put in the show. And I think it's really wonderful as well to see how even Masaba, despite reaching such a high stage of success in her life, how she's still, I don't want to use the word threatened, but is, I guess, is competing against, sort of new age designers, especially who are emerging on social media. And I like the way you sort of added that track as well. Which I think is very rampant, I think, in today's day and age as filmmakers as well, because obviously, films nowadays are, they've become very grassroots, I think, in terms of the way they're made. It's more encouraged nowadays. So do you feel also like there is, in a way, I don't want to use the word competing or sort of threatened, but do you feel there is that, let's just say, that emergence of grassroots filmmaking and its power? How would you describe that situation currently?
I feel like it's not the grassroots filmmakers that I'm trying to kind of compete with, or kind of that are irritating me. It's like the fact that nobody even bothers about watching an actual show or film anymore. People just make like these reels and TikTok videos, and you know that's what's trending. Like, you know how music nowadays, you have to have it like, so that someone can make an Instagram reel for it, you have to have like a 30-second template. And just like everything is just so social media heavy that the actual art forms are not getting appreciated. Like, so this idea of a younger, this Instagram kind of celebrity came from one of our writers, Punya, who's a stand-up comedian. And she has worked, 10 years and done like, written like hour-long specials, and, really working on her material, going from place to place. And then these young people come and just start doing like 5-second dumb videos on social media of like some one joke, make some face, put some music, and those people have like a million followers, and suddenly they are like being invited to do stand up, they're invited to be cast in things, and she's like, but I worked hard.
Yeah, true.
So for music also the same thing. My friend who's a photographer, she used to take like beautiful photos and have like art exhibitions. She's like, she has no work right now because the only thing people care about is like the photo has to fit on Instagram and see how many likes it gets. So it was more that and we had to kind of cut out a couple of things from that character. But what we wanted to say was that learn your craft, do work for like a few years, and then start, owning this, like trying to like, don't take the shortcut to success, because it's annoying for us who've taken the
Yeah.
long run, and also you will fizzle out. You won't have anything to fall back on.
And I must say, the humor in your content is very much in line with you as a person as well, Sonam. I mean, from the interactions that I've had with you, it definitely seems to be very naturalistic, I think, in your approach when it comes to humor. And I think this is I feel somehow like even in modern era, I feel, of Bollywood and Hindi cinema or Hindi content, I feel we've kind of lost the natural approach to humor. Somehow it's become very forced, it's become very garish, and I would say somewhat regressive also, even though like we live in a very woke era. So for you, when you are showing comedy and humor, what are some of the core aspects you ensure of actually when presenting it to make sure it doesn't go overboard or it doesn't come across as a bit tacky?
I think it's very like instinctive for me. I don't try to make anything that funny. I don't see like, is this funny, or or let's force a joke in here. It's like it's very easy for me. Touch wood, because it's the first thing. Like, I'm actually more uncomfortable with the more emotional scenes, the sentimental bits, or like really romantic stuff. I get uncomfortable because I obviously, humor is like a wall. So those things take a little time, and I have to really be like, is this too cheesy? Is this too sentimental? Yuck, is it looking fake? Whatever. But funny is like, there's no problem. And Neena ji and Masaba are also funny, like inherently funny. And they say the things how I've written them. They get the humor off the page and say it exactly like that.
Mhm.
So it just works. Like, I don't know if the actor is not funny inherently, how like Neil is really funny.
Oh
So
yeah.
this character, like, we know, like the writing, and the writing has what, like, he has a picnic table, he has a picnic, uh, for that, after the cycling, he has a table, he has the boxes, he has chai, he has coffee, whatever, right? So we know it's a funny situation. But Neil, the way he'll open the table is funny. The way he'll open a lunchbox is funny. So it just enhances it. But yeah, I think uh, it's very difficult for a non-funny person for me to direct them to be funny.
You know,
So
obviously Masaba, because of the background that she comes from, and obviously the sort of circumstances she comes from, and I know, uh, we sort of hear a bit of references of single parenthood, and being a mother, out of wedlock, especially in the beginning of season two. one thing that you've actually very interestingly not, I would say, conveyed a lot about or highlighted is the sort of racism aspect that maybe Masaba has gone through, because she has, I think, in a few interviews, has mentioned that she's gone through very horrible stuff. So, what was the reasoning behind not like sort of delving into that aspect as well? Because it's obviously very important. Do you think season three will perhaps highlight that? Because there was reference of the dad coming into the equation this time, making it a lot more complex. So wait, are we going to actually see Viv Richards coming into the third season?
We don't even know if there's a third season right now. So
Of
then
course, Hoga. Of course, Hoga. I
whenever
can.
that comes, um, the racism aspect of it is a very conscious decision to stay away. I felt like, because this is something I feel generally in all fronts of showing a woman on screen, is that I feel like there are many people showing the the negative aspects of certain women and what they have to face.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I didn't want to other Masaba. I didn't want the audience to be like, oh, she is not like us, because she has anyway faced that her whole life.
Mm.
You see her and people are already like, oh, she is different. She is, born out of wedlock. She's half black, half Indian, whatever. That is there only. So the purpose, especially of the first season, was to make her feel like, oh, she's one of us. She's the same. Because I feel now, maybe this is totally debatable, but I feel like when you normalize her differences and
Yeah.
actually highlight the similarities, is when
True.
you bring people
Actually,
together.
I
Yeah,
must agree with you on that. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Mm.
Because now nobody's thinking of Masaba as an other different person. They're like, oh my god, we love her. She's just like us, and her race is not an issue.
Irrelevant. It's
Yeah,
irrelevant. Yeah. And I think that's why even like the fact that even casting Northeast actors as well, like they face so much persecution within their own home, and by their own people. I think it's great that Hindi cinema is making that conscious effort to even casting them in main roles. I think whether it's Badaido or even Anek, for that
yeah,
matter. So I think it's a great movement. I think in a way to normalize it and to just
yeah,
cast them as actors. In fact, I
yeah.
think with Masaba, I was telling my mom as well when I was watching the show that I feel like she really has inherited her mother's genes, like in terms of acting. And I know she's playing pretty much herself, but then to really delve into those emotions and to bring it out, it's one thing for you to play a character, whether it's yourself or another person, but to actually bring out those emotions, I feel like that's a skill of a really good actor. So what was your take on her actually as an actor rather than as a fashion designer? What was your opinion of that?
No, I feel like she's a really good actor. And I don't buy this whole thing of she's playing herself. No, she's not playing herself. First of all, she's not, I mean, her circumstances are that she's a designer, she's Neenaji's daughter.
Hmm.
Fine. But she's not playing herself. We have scripted the whole show, and even the character herself is not very much like her.
Yeah.
It is a lot of me, it is a lot of the other writers, it's a lot of like what we feel like we should portray on screen. She's not exactly like that at all. She's playing this character Masaba, and she is, and everything is scripted, everything is kind of not real. Not, I mean, 90% is like stuff that never happened to her at all. So it's I feel like that's really taking away from her talent. She's really good and in every kind of scene. So you can't do that if you were just playing yourself. Then you would
Yeah.
see some kind of fault. But she's great in the funny bit. She's great in the emotional bit. She's so natural with her mother. That is, yeah. I feel like it's very unfair to say that she's just playing herself. So it's easy. So I find her really good, because how I can tell is because she does a scene a certain way, and then I direct her to do it a different way, and she
Mhm.
does it exactly how I've told her to do it. Like it changes exactly. Like I'm like, do this. I want this in your eyes. This, and she does it exactly like that. That's what an actor does. Otherwise, she would do it the same way every time, right?
Mhm. I think also I must tell you, next time you need a journalist or a presenter in your series, please call me. I would love to be a part of that. Like I would have loved to have broken the news of
Yeah.
of Neena Ji sort of reviving her show. I would have loved that. International platform bhi mil jayega aapko.
Yeah, so true. I'm excited about that.
No, that's great. I think it's wonderful though, and I think Neena ji, I mean, what to say about her acting? I mean, she just is she's just so fascinating to watch on screen, man. Like literally, I every time she came and her scenes came on, she's such a huge asset to our industry, and I think it bothers me so much how for so many years her talent was actually being ignored until that one fine day she decided to tweet, and that's when everything just changed the game for her, and I think that's what she represents. She represents that honest and real voice, and I just love that about Neena G a lot as well. But I think, look, looking back at some of your contents, you've obviously had a few mainstream takers for your works. I mean, Gippy, you've worked, I think, in a few Dharma films as well. Gippy obviously being your directorial debut, you had Dharma backing that. Kafir was backed by Z Studios, and obviously Masaba Masaba is by Netflix. So when it comes to mainstream traction, you've obviously had the commercial backing, but yet I would say your content isn't quite, it's very different. It's very dynamic is the best way to describe it. So what how tough is it actually to actually get that commercial backing? What sort of pitches does one, especially as a young filmmaker, as like budding filmmaker, because I would still call you budding, I'll still call you fresh. So in that sense, how tough is it for you to get that right pitch, I think, when it comes to commercial or getting that commercial backing?
It actually hasn't been tough. These projects haven't been tough. What has been tough is that I refuse to work on things that I don't align with. I just don't do those. So that part is a little tough to maintain because you have to pay your rent and you have to like live life. And but I refuse to do remakes or do just like some kind of TV show that like will pay me, but I just don't get like what it's trying to say or what is it doing. So the fact that I refuse to do that has been more difficult. These things, the Gippy obviously I wrote and then I gave it to Karan and he loved it immediately and said, "Let's make it. It's a small budget film. We can take the risk." So that was just his total belief in me because and now once Karan Johar has believed in you, many people just feel like, okay, she's done a Dharma film, so she'll make something,
Yeah, true.
After that, like Kafir came to me, Masaba Masaba came to me. Khujli is another turning point in my career where it was Terribly Tiny Talkies who made it, came to me and they said, make something. And I wrote this 15-minute film and it became so big that now the following work has come through Khujli. So I think it's more difficult to stick to your voice than it is to actually get things made. There are too many things getting made. So now there is work for everybody.
Right.
But you should, I mean, my thing is I'm going to say no to everything that doesn't give me PQ, basically.
Yeah. No, but I think that's I'm quite surprised actually, and very pleasantly surprised actually to hear that, because obviously, like you mentioned, because obviously you've done a Dharma film as your first movie, people obviously consider that as a pinnacle, like once you've done a Dharma film, then your career is made, sab kuch set hai. But for you, technically a major turning point was actually after a short film. I think that really is a sign of the changing times, isn't it? Because we're seeing short stories emerge. But I think, Sonam, one of my questions to you is, what do you think is going to be the, I guess, turning point for cinema generally now? Because obviously the web series, the OTT influx, there's been so many conversations about that. We've spoken about that at length, actually, when you and Anvita were together. But what do you think is the next stage now, in terms of the films and the style of filmmaking that we'll see and the style of content that emerges?
I'm a little worried at this point because it's feeling a bit like unsettling. The OTT high, I think, is gone or will go in the next couple of years because when it first came we were like, oh great, you can tell all kinds of stories. Finally, all of us who couldn't think of like these big screen, big hero things will get to have our voices on screen. Now I feel like, I don't know, there are just like too many things being made, too many channels, a lot of money was put into it. I don't know how much of it came back to these channels. So I think right now it's like people are like, okay, is this working anymore? Or like as a business model, is it actually giving returns? We don't know. Films also, we don't know, because some one or two films have done really well, but like people are not really going back to the theater that
No.
much.
Yeah.
So that also we don't know. Everybody's just on bloody Instagram all day long. So I'm like,
Yeah.
become an influencer, or what is my next step? I myself am like, I'm not clear whether I should do a series or a film now, or just start an Instagram page and just become an influencer. I swear, I don't know
Yeah.
what. Yeah, I don't know
I mean,
what.
with due respect to influencers, by the way, because I would like to consider myself one of them. But yeah,
I also want to be. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm feeling like that's where the returns are, and like I'm asking my influencer friends, like, how do I just become an influencer? Because I I don't know what to do anymore. You know.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm a little scared about what is happening. I felt like 3-4 years ago we all felt really good, and now we're all again back to like what's happening.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, you're so right, actually, because I remember, like, even before the OTT revolution actually happened, I mean, it's always, it's kind of been on the surface, but then obviously lockdown, it became the only source of entertainment really that we had. But before that, I think just looking back at the former years just before the boom happened, it was always that conversation about where is Bollywood heading, where is cinema heading. We had a great year in 2018, 2019 was okay, kind of that kind of a thing. I think that conversation has started again, but I think it's gotten, if I may say, it's gotten worse, if I can say so, because like,
Yeah,
so many Bollywood films aren't doing well at the box office, and I mean, well, whatever reason it is, I mean, of course, some of the content probably isn't good, which is why they're not doing very well.
it's really bad. I'm sorry, but like it's gone downhill like by miles. I thought after the pandemic, suddenly there'll be
A
like people
creativity revolution.
realize, yeah, people will realize some things and something will happen and some purging of like bad content will happen. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I really thought things would get a little better after the pandemic. We'd suddenly have like an influx of just like people have seen a lot of international shows, people have had
Hmm.
time to like work on their scripts, like something. No, it's so bad. Everything is just like worse than it was, like more idiotic and like not thought out and just like gimmicky and for the promotions, like I'm just like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I was gonna say actually, so for you, as far as your next project is concerned, I mean, of course, I'm sure in the background you've got Masaba Masaba season 3 to work on. I'm sure there will be a season 3. I mean, it's a huge title for Netflix, so I can't see them not, offering that to you. But in terms of that, which other sort of styles or stories would you be keen to explore? Because obviously, it's great that you have this knack of coming of age, and self-discovery stories. It's a very different voice that you bring to that.
I keep saying this for like because I've had this story idea for the last 3 years and I've just like not gotten the time to sit and actually write it out. So I'm taking the next 3 months to at least try and write it. But I want to do action and I want to do like not action comedy, but like sexy action. Just like I want to turn people on. I
Yeah.
feel like I've made them laugh, I've made them cry or whatever. Now I want people to be like kind of like their blood pumping while watching something I've made. Because I love watching that kind of cinema where my blood, like I get like turned on by what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Not in a sexual way, you know what I mean? Like just like there's action and like thriller and just like hot people. Like I just want to do something which is completely different from what I've done. Um, and I feel like a woman doing that will just give a different film than any of the others that exist in that genre. So
Yeah.
yeah, something like Sriram Raghavanish, that
Uh-huh.
would be great.
You know what? I remember having a chat with Shonali Bose actually during Sky's Pink time, and I think she had also expressed a similar sort of approach as well. She would love an ambition of this nature as well. With women in the lead, of an action film, I think we're lacking that severely, and I don't know why that is the case. I mean, see, Dhakar was a very good example was a very promising film, and it promised that, and I think Kangana did a very good job in it. Obviously, the film itself, I mean, whatever it was, it was. But I think I would love to see more films like that, and I'm grateful at least because of Dhaka, or even seeing Priyanka and Deepika do whatever they do in the West with action,
Yeah,
whether it's
yeah.
Citadel or Quantico or Triple X. I think it's such a exemplary thing for us Indians to look up to, because they've really set the bar, haven't they, in terms of that. But why do you think we're still not able to see massive takers for such a film like this? Because I'm sure it would do really well if it was to be made.
Someone has to take that leap of faith. Maybe maybe they have to be smart about it. Like I now have worked on really low budget things, really like kind of medium budget things or whatever. So I understand how to make like how to show the money on screen. But I don't know a lot of Bollywood films. I feel like I just their budgets are too insane, and then they put so much more money on marketing or whatever that ultimately it's like it's going to be a loss, unless it's like really some huge stars. So I feel like if you're smart about the budget and the script is really good, then you can do it. Like I'm not sitting here and being like, okay, Deepika and Alia are going to be in the film. It's fine. I feel like people are trying to make the RRR of like everybody's trying to
Yeah,
make RRR,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm saying I want to make Johnny Gaddar. And,
Huh.
and and but if Johnny Gaddar was a woman, great, I'd still watch it. You know, so
Yeah,
it's fine. Just be practical. You get it that women are not drawing as many people maybe as the men, but then we just make it in a smaller budget, and you it'll still be a hit.
yeah. And and I've always, this has kind of irked me a lot. And I don't know if it's just within the Indian film industry or whether it's in every film industry. I'm not sure. Um, but I have noticed in particular when it comes to Bollywood or our films, there is that whole sense of beat chal, If a film does well, that same template is repeated again and again and again. And I would have thought that maybe because of the pandemic, because of the sort of nature of the shift that we're seeing within the entertainment sphere, people would have changed their approach. But sadly, that isn't the case, is it?
Think the fear is in producers' minds. Obviously, all writers and directors are always like idealistic, and they feel like their film can do what the others couldn't. But it's the same thing, like whether it's producers for feature films or at networks now. Like obviously, I get offers for shows, I get Bibles, and I get like plot lines. Everything, I swear to you, every film or show, 80% are remakes of things that have already been made. Shows that have already been made, we have already seen those shows because they're very popular and they are playing right now on our screens. Why should I watch a less, just like a lower budgeted, like badly written version of that show? I'll just watch that show. And those things are not connected to our reality right now. So, but it's the safest thing to do. So, and for films also, I'm only getting remakes of like South film ka remake or Korean film ka remake or French film ka remake. And these films are not the greatest films of those countries either. It'll be like some very generic, like Spanish comedy about a girl who like loses her memory for a day or whatever. And I'm just like, why do you want to spend money buying this mediocre film,
Hmm.
get a writer, and if you pay the same money and tell them, write a film about a girl in Bombay that you feel like it connects to the people of the country, it'll be a better film. But the
Hmm.
producers think it's easier and safer to do remakes, to do
Yeah.
sequels, to kind of only take stars, and those are the people making the decisions ultimately.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe it's their money. It's their it's their right. I guess. I don't know.
I'm still hopeful though. I definitely do have hopes, and I think seeing content like Masaba Masaba was definitely वो जो कहते हैं ना कलेजे में ठंडक पड़ गई,
Yeah.
वैसा कुछ feeling आ रही थी, उसमें. So it was really nice to see a show like Masaba Masaba season 2 return, and I think hopefully whenever season 3 happens, it's going to be as wonderful to watch and as intriguing. And I'm pretty sure that you have your head on the right way, Sonam, and I can't wait to see you make your next film. So I
Thank you.
surely will wait for that to happen.
Thank you. I
Lovely.
really liked what you wrote on Instagram. It was really sweet.
Oh, my pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure, Sonam. But look, wishing you all the very best for your upcoming projects, and congratulations once again.
Thank you. Thank you so
Wonderful.
much. Give your mom my love.
I will definitely. I think she'd really love that. Thank you so much, Sonam. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye.